Gottfried Leibniz believed in God, the immortal soul, the hereafter. We can't be sure where his soul is now, but he achieved immortality anyhow, as an object of ridicule and laughter. In the classic comic novel entitled Candide, with Professor Pangloss, buffoonish farce is guaranteed. Absurdly optimistic and full of hot air, the character's based on Leibniz, his philosophy laid bare in a manner that is not entirely fair by the ruthless French satirist Voltaire. Why was an eminent thinker like Leibniz treated with such disrespect? It was mainly due to conclusions he drew about God and cause and effect. In Leibniz's philosophy, the first question on his list was of what exactly does this thing we call the world consist? And the answer he came up with was lots and lots and lots of tiny, immaterial, insubstantial dots, invisible, infinitesimal, impossible to trace, soul-like, not solid, they take up no space. A monad was his name for this dot that isn't there, from the Greek word for a unit. They exist everywhere. Non-physical, energetic, in a swirling psychic flow, an infinite number of monads create the world we know. Inspired by the likes of Pythagoras, Leibniz looked at monads anew, but it took another 300 years for the world of physics to say it appears this 17th century view of energy, as Leibniz describes it, through monads, seems to be true. But Leibniz had spotted a problem he felt honour bound to correct. If monads are not physical, if no two monads connect, one thing cannot lead to another. There cannot be cause or effect. This bit's where Leibniz provoked Voltaire, with his sincere explanation of why causation isn't there. There's no need for cause and effect, and here's why not. Everything that's happened or been done everywhere, and all that will occur or be done anywhere, has been preordained and is in the good care of God. The mightiest monad, God, the Creator, at the point the world began, programmed every single event to follow his divine plan. If you just heard a spluttering, that was Voltaire, choking on his glass of vin ordinaire. They say you should stop digging if you are in a hole, but philosophers are made of sterner stuff. If getting to the truth is your ultimate goal, at no point can you say, enough's enough. Pre-established harmony was the name that Leibniz chose for God's divine plan that sent wine down Voltaire's nose, but in pre-established harmony, Leibniz now saw a further riddle to solve, one last niggling flaw. If God, as Leibniz was convinced, was a kind omniscient soul, and in all his boundless goodness was in absolute control, with a plan mapped out for the universe, and the love and will to begin it, what possible reason could there be for God to put evil in it? To which Leibniz said to get in God's head is for mortals like us an impossible quest. It's also quite clear we have no idea how changing one thing might upset all the rest. But as God is good, as God is all-knowing, he worked it all out and then got the world going. He'd thought it all through. That has to be true. Of all possible worlds, this must be the best. This is the best of all possible worlds. That's when Voltaire picked up his quill, shocked that anyone with half a brain could, of his own free will, suggest this world must be the best, when man and nature fill every day with misery, pain, anguish, suffering, loss. That's why Voltaire portrayed Leibniz as the idiot Professor Pangloss, ripping into his optimism without mercy or apology. Pangloss, Professor of Metaphysico-Theologo-Cosmologology. No disaster, no atrocity, no calamity, no monstrosity. None of earth's terrors can belittle his upbeat, inane verbosity. Not even when Pangloss gets syphilis can that puncture his learned pomposity, as he traces the origins of sexual disease to when Columbus sailed the seas. From this, Pangloss makes the argument that he has no reason to moan, because if it wasn't for syphilis, chocolate would still be unknown. With each tsunami, earthquake, shipwreck, murder, rape, or war, his catchphrase, "all is for the best," sounds dumber than before. Whatever evils inflicted on any woman or man, it's all part, Pangloss insists, of the divine almighty plan. Leibniz's words were yanked out of context, creating a crude depiction of insanely reasoned optimism in a work of comic fiction. And yet there is one logical point that Leibniz would have to concede. If this is the best of all possible worlds, it includes Voltaire and Candide.